Whoa! Whoa! So Cobra Kai Season 4 tells the story of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang Karate teaming up to battle for the soul of the valley against Cobra Kai. What is up, everybody? We are here again. We got another season of Cobra Kai. If you guys have not already seen, I've actually reviewed all 3 previous seasons. We did a spoiler talk last year with Sean Chandler Talks About, and I've also ranked all 3 of the previous seasons. So I'll put a card up here for my Cobra Kai content, but I've been talking about this show pretty much since the beginning, and now I've got an early review for you guys on Season 4. Absolutely no spoilers here. I'm going to be as vague as possible, and you guys will be able to access this season later on this week on New Year's Eve, I believe. So, Season 4 of Cobra Kai picks up right where Season 3 left off, and to give a little bit of context of where I was when Season 3 left off, I have loved this show all the way from the beginning, but Season 3 was certainly a bit of a mixed bag for me. I liked a lot of the story elements, I liked a lot of certain character moments and certain character growths and arcs, but I felt like there was a bit of a dip in quality in Season 3 regarding all of the Vietnam flashbacks that I felt added nothing to the character of John Kreese, added nothing to the character of Terry Silver, and certainly showed the budget restrictions of the show. And I also felt that Season 3 suffered a lot from just immediate character changes that made absolutely no sense and just really frustrating character stuff for me that by the end of the season, I liked it, but it was by far the weakest of the 3 to me. And since then, I'll be honest, when I watched all 3 of these seasons again before starting my Season 4 screeners, I liked Season 3 more than I did last year. So, with that being said, Season 4, this felt like the final season to me. We all know, anybody that follows this show, that this is not in fact the final season. They've actually already shot Season 5 before Season 4 has even aired, so this is a show that's going to presumably go on for at least Season 6, maybe Season 7, until they decide to start looking at how to wrap things up. But the story direction that they were going in with the 2 dojos, the 2 rival dojos getting together, Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang Karate, to take out the bigger threat that is Cobra Kai, that is now fully under John Kreese's control, and they were teasing the return of Terry Silver and leading up to the All-Valley Under-18 tournament to settle all of this once and for all. Everything about it just said finality to me. It just said series finale. It said this is everything that we have been building to, and this is going to be it. This is where everything is going to be put onto the table, and we're going to close out all of these arcs. So I was a bit worried walking into this season with how they were going to tell that story in a way that does not feel like it should be ending here. That does not feel like by the end of this season, when they start teasing where we're going to go for Season 5, that it doesn't feel like the show is just artificially being kept alive because it is a ratings behemoth. And after watching all of Season 4, I can tell you that this is in competition for at least my second favorite season. There's certain things that I might need to watch it again, but I mean, I really enjoyed what they did with Season 4 to the point where it immediately was better than the past couple of seasons that I've seen. And I'm very happy with a lot of things that they did with the characters and with the story and with where things are going to be heading after this. Starting off with the positives for Season 4, I think that having this season be focused on the lead up to the All-Valley tournament and having all of these dojos trying to train everybody and trying to get everybody to their fullest and trying to take out the threat that is Cobra Kai, and Cobra Kai retroactively trying to take out the threats against them, and it just gives everybody this motivation, this forward momentum that keeps the story going, it keeps these rivalries going, it keeps the different character dynamics going in a way that makes sense narratively.
To the 51st annual All-Valley Under-18 Karate Tournament!
By the 4th season, if we were just still hanging out in high school, if Johnny and Daniel were still just being dicks to each other over a miscommunication every 5 minutes, this show would start to run out of steam a little bit. But I thought that All-Valley and all of the actual tournament motivation got rid of a lot of the logic issues regarding how many times are we going to keep having the same arguments. And it also lets you have a destination in sight. You knew that the entire 10-episode season that we're heading to this tournament. So every single episode, we're getting closer and closer to everything coming to a head with these 3 dojos. And as they progress the stories for all the characters in all 3 of these dojos, you're following along and seeing how each of them are advancing or regressing, and it really does keep a certain amount of tension and a certain amount of intrigue on who is going to come out on top. And I thought that this season had a really nice message and a really nice theme going all the way through it about carving your own path. I'm not going to get into specifics about who learns this or how they learn this, but when you have 2 rival dojos getting together with Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do, and you have students that have been loyal to both of these senseis, and now they're trying to kind of understand where each of these senseis that used to be rivals are coming from, and maybe getting a little bit more from this side than they used to get from this side. There's a lot of different dynamics going on with these kids, with these students, regarding taking everything that they can learn and carving their own path through karate, making up their own style, not just being absolutely dedicated to the ways of Mr. Miyagi or absolutely dedicated to the ways of the fist and how to be a badass that Johnny taught him. And I thought that that was a really good way to kind of progress this story, being how antagonistic Johnny and Daniel have been and how much they've dug their feet in the sand about my way's the right way. No, my way's the right way. Having these kids be the one to stand up and say, shut the fuck up, there is no right way, I'm taking a little bit of you and a little bit of you and I'm making my own path in this damn world. And speaking specifically on Johnny and Daniel, I liked a lot of their interactions in this season. I will say there was moments that I started to get worried that we were going to be going down some familiar path and like, we've been here guys, please don't do that. But there was a lot of moments between these characters when they're getting along as well as when they're not getting along that I thought was some of the strongest stuff of the season and some of the strongest stuff that we've seen between those 2 characters this entire series. You just can't help but smile when you've been a longtime fan of this franchise going all the way back to the first movie and you see Daniel starting to do some of Johnny's karate, or you see Johnny starting to do a little bit of wax on and wax off. It just kind of warms your heart as fans of these characters. And I already kind of touched on it for a moment there, but there was a lot of times in this season when they gave me a hint that they were heading down familiar territory, or even that they were about to fall into a very similar mistake that I felt they ran into in season 3. And every single time I started to get those feelings, they went in a direction that surprised me, or they had a reason to go there. They had something that I was not expecting that justified doing that. And so that was a really big relief for me. As somebody that was so critical of season 3, I really feel like season 4 was almost made for me specifically. Like, ha! You thought we were going to go there again, didn't you, Cody? Well, this is what we got for you. And there was so many times throughout the season that I just, oh, I'm starting to get that cringe feeling, and then I would just smile going, ah, that was good, that was cool. And they took a lot of really interesting directions and a lot of interesting journeys with all of these characters. With the characters that we already know and love, that I already know and love, they took them in some directions that was really nice to see this season that was slightly different than what we've seen before. It was definitely intriguing. There was also characters that I flat out did not like and just did not give a shit about anything regarding the development of that character anymore, that they actually made me care about them, more than one of them in this season, by doing some really interesting things with their character. There was even some people that got focused narratively in this season that we have pretty much all out ignored for 3 seasons before this. That was a really nice surprise. So all of the character moments and all of the character arcs and character journeys in this season, for the most part, all the way around, were really nice and really satisfying. Of course, we have to talk about Terry Silver, who is the one character that is joining us for this season that we have not seen since The Karate Kid Part 3.
Daniel LaRusso.
Now, I might be a little bit biased because I have always been a gigantic defender of The Karate Kid Part 3 for all its flaws. That's my second favorite of this franchise, and a large part of that is because of Terry Silver. That is my favorite villain in this entire franchise. He just always was so entertaining and just so captivating with how ridiculously over the top and cartoonish that guy was, and I just always ate it up. And I was really curious at how they were going to integrate him into the tone of this show, into the character dynamics that we already have in place. How is he going to work with this older version of John Kreese? What is he even going to be like? And the answers to all of those questions was 100% satisfying for me. There was some surprises with what they did with his character, with how they kind of introduced him and where he is as a person now versus where he was in the 80s, being this hopped up, cracked out dude that's just trying to be all maniacal and mustache twirling. And some of the most satisfying moments of the season for me were those moments where you started to see those shades of that familiar Terry Silver, when you started to see that maniacal motherfucker from part 3 come back. And he was just a gigantic welcome presence in this season. That was the biggest thing that I was looking forward to in season 4, and it was one of the biggest things that I loved about season 4. And one of the biggest victories and my final positive for this season is that what I was saying when I opened up this review about this feeling like the final season. I think me and Sean even talked about this in our spoiler review of season 3, and we were on the same page. We were worried as fans that they were just going to keep going. Like, season 4 was going to feel like that should be the end, but there'd be one little tiny story detail to necessitate another season, and they were just going to keep going until the show started to wear out its welcome and then end it. And I gotta tell you, that was my biggest worry walking into season 4, and by the time the final scene of the final episode aired, I want more. I felt like they did so many really smart things with these characters and with the narrative by the end of the All Valley tournament that totally merits and necessitates continuing on and telling more story, that I can't live without it. There's no chance whatsoever that I would be satisfied if this show stopped right here, and I want to see all of the continuing storylines that they have set up from the end of this season, and that is a big victory for me personally. The one mixed aspect that I had for this season, and really my negatives are kind of along this way too, where it's really just kind of mixed and negative aspects to the show overall, not really anything new here. The mixed thing for me is that this show always has this balance of over the top. There's so many ridiculous concepts and ridiculous characters and logic stretches that is very much the charm of the show, but at the same time is also kind of the Achilles heel of the show sometimes. And you definitely have that carrying through in season 4. There's some very cool stuff going on. There's some very charming, and you can't help but laugh and smile through your eye rolls and how over the top some of these sequences are and some of these character arcs are in season 4. But there was also some moments where it just went a little bit too far for me. One of them being like a training sequence, for example, where Johnny's trying to teach Miyagi kids about how to be badass, and he literally is telling teenagers to jump across a rooftop to where literally if one of them tripped or didn't jump far enough, they would fall to their death. And I'm just like, okay, you should be in jail, and Daniel should kill you for telling them to do that. But because it's Cobra Kai, because it's Johnny, we forgive it, we get into it, we don't really stay and ask too many questions. But there's just times where every season of this show does it, where they just stretch it a little bit too far, and it's like, all right, guys, bring it back. You had your fun. Now, as far as the negatives for season 4, the biggest one for me personally, which luckily kind of went away after about 3 or 4 episodes and got a lot more consistent, is the characterizations of some of the people that we like in this show, to the point where they don't really feel like they know how to write consistency with some of these kids, where they want them to be here by the end of the season or by a certain episode, but they're over here. So rather than like writing a satisfying arc to kind of trail into where they need them over a couple of episodes, they just jump from one to the other, scene to scene. And it's really jarring for a fan. If you know how a certain character is and how a certain character thinks, then all of a sudden they're over here doing the opposite of what they should be doing with where their mental state is from the last time that we saw them. It gets a little bit wonky. I can't get into specifics, but there's a couple of characters that made very big character decisions in season 3 that in season 4 it doesn't really feel like there's a nice through line. It feels like they didn't quite make the character journey that the show told us that they made. It just kind of felt like lazy script writing to a certain extent with some of these people, where we need this person to do this thing or to act this way for this one specific moment, but we don't know how to get there, so we're just going to make them be that way, and everybody's just going to have to deal with it and not ask too many questions. And when that happens 2 or 3 times in a couple of episodes, it starts to notice a lot. You also still have some of the issues we've had the past couple of seasons. That was the biggest issue in season 3, where you literally have these kids just doing felonies and committing crimes and being full-on just evil, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Like, I thought it was so stupid in season 3 when they literally go to kill John Kreese because of the level of crimes that he's causing these kids to commit, and he's just like, wait, don't turn me into the law. Let's settle this the old-fashioned way at the tournament. And you're like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You're going to jail, bitch. you have a lot of that in season 4 as well, where it's like, dude, is people just afraid to call the cops on these kids? Because what the fuck? And my final negative regarding season 4, this is a small, kind of a nitpick, because it only happens in one scene, in one episode, but it's a pretty integral part of the last act of this season. There's a really big, over-the-top, forced, dramatic moment in the penultimate episode, to where it's made into this gigantic, theatric, dramatic thing, and then literally when the next episode starts, it's resolved within about 5 minutes. So that was something to me where I was like, that was fucking weird. Why did we do that? That made no sense whatsoever. You could have gotten that character arc that you needed that little thing to happen a much better way. So can't get specific. When you watch the season, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I just thought that was, for as consistently good the last 2/3 of this season got, that was the one moment where I went, whoa, that was weird. So all in all, guys, I am very happy with season 4. All of you Cobra Kai fans are going to be very happy with season 4. I can't see anybody disliking this season if you like all the other seasons. And even if you're somebody that was starting to feel like, you know, maybe it was a little bit rocky, starting to head downward in season 3, I promise you this is a step up from that. And I'm very excited about where this show seems to be heading, and I'm very excited that it's still heading that direction and did not decide to close out this season. So yet again, I was wrong. That's the reason why I'm not a writer in Hollywood. So when you guys finally check out Cobra Kai later on this week, let me know, what are your thoughts on season 4? What are your thoughts on the show overall? How did you like the different character dynamics, where certain people ended by this season? And did you see what I was talking about with some of my criticisms that I couldn't get too specific with? If not, ask me down below. I'll try to give a little bit more context once everybody is able to see this season here in about a week or so. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are a Cobra Kai fan. I'm going to rank the seasons once again. And of course, next year when we get more seasons, I'm going to review those and do that again. I might even do a ranking of the characters here in a week or so once I get a little bit more time and get everybody to see the season and get a little bit more conversation with what's going on. Maybe we'll do a live spoiler talk. I don't know. I love this season and I want to talk about it some more. So you're going to get some more content for Cobra Kai fans, is the point that I'm trying to make. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.